Welcome, everybody, to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host, Evan Teague, with, like always, is Noah Bailey. So, the Snyder Cut is out today.
Woo!
We haven't seen it, but it's out.
It does exist. And I believe all 4 hours are on.
Huh?
I think all 4 hours are out right now,
Yes,
right?
yes. It was
Right.
released just as a movie.
Right.
So, yeah, like, it's out, whatever.
As it should have been. Yeah, I don't know. That whole episodic thing, I was like, that does not sound like a good idea.
Yeah, like we said last week, it apparently still has chapters, but it's not released episodic. I don't know.
Whatever. I mean, whatever to get, Zack's vision or whatever. I guess it'd be the proper mood, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's out there. It looks like a long weekend for me. But
I'm definitely going to watch it this weekend, probably both Saturday, and then finish it on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it very in depth next week. We'll see if it was worth it. I've only heard good things about it, although I've only heard opinions from known DC fanboys. So I'm really not sure. Maybe it'll surprise me.
I feel like non-fanboys haven't seen it yet because it's only been out for a couple hours. So it's a 4-hour movie. So if we did it right now, that means you either started it at like 11 o'clock or something, like latest. So you know what I'm saying?
I mean, these fanboys watched it at 3 a.m. Like they stayed up as late as possible.
There was I saw like a YouTube watch party when I was scrolling, and I was like, it's like 12:30. I was like, guys, come on. But I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, and there's already spoilers on YouTube somehow. Which is great. Thanks, guys.
I don't know. It's the Justice League. Also, he already kind of throughout the years, he's kind of been teasing a lot of these spoilers anyway. So I'm very looking at these type of things.
Yeah, and it's kind of more just I want to see how it happens more so than what actually happens. Whatever. But
you know what? If it's good, I'll give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
However, I do still stand by my bet that remember the bet is not if the Snyder Cut is good, I will delete every video that I've dissed Snyder about. It is if this movie makes BVS a good movie, then I'll delete every movie back.
I think that's gonna be
I don't think that's gonna happen.
That's gonna be a tall task. Now we'll see. Again, I'm thinking, this has a chance to be pretty good, but I'm still kind of I don't think the actual changes that were wanted or that were made are actually changes that were what I believe was needed. So we'll see, but I haven't seen it yet, so we'll see.
I've actually watched Justice League fairly recently. And the 2017 one, and almost every single scene that I thought was either good or that I thought I found some kind of enjoyment out of was clearly a Joss Whedon reshoot. Like the scene where Barry's kind of freaking out because obviously I don't think every joke that he says or everything he says lands as a joke, but him freaking out about not knowing how to fight, not wanting to deal with what's happening. And then Batman says, just save one person. And then Flash is like, then what? Then you'll know. That just feels like something, that just feels very heroic and something.
Yeah.
That just feels like something someone who has been doing this for 20 years or however long Batman had been doing it would say to a rookie like Flash. That just makes sense.
Right.
Not going to be in Zack Snyder's movies.
No. I mean, and again, most of the things, Brunch is still not funny.
No.
Brunch was not funny the first time. It's still not funny. So we'll see what happened, what makes it in, what doesn't, and but yeah, I think that was a good moment, and kind of a moment there where with Superman not being there, Batman kind of saying something theoretically Superman would say, maybe not this Superman, but a normal Superman would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's something there, but maybe that's a stretch. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm obviously not going into it expecting it to just be the 2017 Justice League with more stuff into it. Obviously half that movie is not going to be in Zack Snyder's movie. It's going to be a very interesting 4 hours. I'll say that.
4 hours, man. we'll see what happens. But yeah,
Some
there's a
people on
lot.
Twitter saying that it just flew on by. You're enjoying the whole thing. It doesn't even feel like 4 hours. Like
Okay. Okay.
I enjoyed Endgame quite a bit. That's a 3 hour movie.
Yeah, but like that was 3 hours plus of like mostly fan service.
Yeah.
So like most of that didn't even feel like a movie. And there was even parts of Endgame that like I know that like, nerds everywhere, like get ready to go. It's like, hear me out. There were even parts of that were like even kind of slow. Like the part where they're like explaining the time travel stuff, like up until when they actually go is pretty slow.
Yeah, that's fair.
So like pretty much everything from after them killing Thanos initially to like Tony figuring out like time travel and getting the suits and everything is kind of slow.
That was kind of intentional because to kind of feel the weight of just how the world has changed since.
I know, but it's like, I was like, this is the biggest movie of my life, I'm expecting.
No, I agree. Like, the movie didn't necessarily need to be 3 hours.
Yeah, but basically it's kind of what I'm getting at.
Just like how I guarantee after watching Snyder Cut did not need to. I
guarantee
that
needs to be 4 hours. 4 hours.
Maybe they'll use their time effectively.
No. Any movie that like needed to be 4 hours, you could have probably just made 2 movies. Yeah. To be honest.
The thing with this movie is that he was originally going to make this like was always going to be around a 4 hour movie and then also get sequels.
It's gonna be like, don't do it. There are some like longer movies that like work out, but like it's really gonna have to get going for a while.
Yeah,
I mean, even Wonder Woman was what 2.5, I think.
84 was 2.5.
Yeah, and like that felt like 4 hours. That felt like forever.
That's a long movie.
Yeah, because again, it felt like you knew where it was going the whole way, and it took forever to get there.
Yep.
And yeah, so that's if this is that, like an hour and a half in, you kind of know where we're going, and then it takes 4 hours to get there pretty much, then I'm like, oh man. But we'll see. I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot of tangents in this movie. A lot of just, oh, we're here now. Oh, we're here now. Oh, we're here now. You know what I'm saying? Like this movie's gonna be weird. And again, I think they're really
several dream sequences.
Yes.
Villains that don't necessarily need to be in the movie but are like just it's gonna be a lot of that
flashback and like a lot of scenes that sound cool but like will be like out of context or won't actually matter or this was only a dream. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's kind of like the whole thing with Star Wars. It's like cool-ish stuff, but like it means nothing. So who cares?
Yes.
And like I'm not here for that. So we'll see. But
yeah. We'll see. Like I said, we'll talk about it in depth next week.
We will. I'll get my notebook. We're gonna probably have timestamps and everything.
Yes.
We're going in. We've been talking about this thing for what 3 years now. Like we got to go big for this one.
Hopefully, our review won't be as long as the movie, but if it does need to be, whatever.
I mean, you know what? I would be okay with that because we talk about it as much as everyone talks about it. It would be a shame if we didn't. Now, if it's 4 hours of roasting, then that might be a little too much.
Yeah,
but
if it's necessary,
like I think we're gonna have a very good like what I did like, what I didn't like, what made no sense, and what anything else. Like,
ideally, I would want to attack it very similarly, like we did Rise of Skywalker, assuming this is assuming I don't see a world where it's as bad as Rise of Skywalker because I don't care as much about it as I do Star Wars.
Fair enough.
But I do believe I'll overall have more negative opinions about it. Just guessing. They could change my mind, but just in a world where I think is going to happen, considering how I feel about most other Zack Snyder movies, I think we should attack it very similarly to that, where it's like start off only talking about good stuff, and then just like putting a pin in stuff that we don't like, and then just like then attacking the bad stuff. I think that would be the best way to go about it, assuming we do have overall negative opinions about it. But we'll see.
We'll talk about it. We'll discuss. We'll have points to be like, okay, did you have and then so we'll see. And again, could be good, could be could be great, could be absolutely trash, could be a mixture of both. We'll see. But for the sake of just DC in general, I'm hoping it's not garbage.
Yes. We'll see. I'm. I think it will be a technically better movie than the 2017 Justice League, just by virtue of it being one whole vision, one clear movie as opposed to like three movies slapped together like Joss Whedon's was. Uh, so as far as it being a movie, I think it'll technically be better. I don't know if I'll enjoy it more than 2017, which is not a high bar to cross. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. Yeah, I'm not super. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I kind of want to watch it, and I also want my brother to watch it with me because, like, I like we kind of, I don't know. It's something we want because we've been watching a lot of other DC material lately.
Mm-hmm.
Just like whether it's the animated series or like the animated universe movies or whatever. It's like so we've kind of got, all right. So I have a feeling he's gonna watch this and be like, that what like so I always think it's funny when like I feel like I feel it's right when like someone like what I'm saying, well, like because like for example, like my mom watched Suicide Squad the other day, like this was a couple weeks ago. My mom watched it and my mom was like, I don't know what's going on in this movie, and I'm like,
me neither.
Mom, that's okay, because usually it's like if it's a superhero movie and mom doesn't know what's up, I'm not like shocked. My mom's not really a superhero. She's more of a Judy Garland kind of person. So like, it's okay if she doesn't get like, superhero
all the
movies
references
and
yeah.
But it's like, it's not even about like, oh, I don't like superheroes. It's like the movie makes no sense, and it's like, yeah, it really, it really doesn't. Like, and that's not like a you thing. That's what all of us think.
Yeah,
well, most of us think.
Granted, that movie also had production issues.
They've all had production issues though. Like,
not
what's
BVS,
going on?
That movie was still not great.
Yeah, that one needed some. That one had issues. They just weren't reported. Like, they all have their issues, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. But
yeah.
Not all movies are perfect, but it's just kind of like, when someone who's like kind of an outsider of the thing kind of points out this probably isn't going to work, then like maybe it stands to reason that they maybe can fix a few things about it. We'll see. So again, that's probably not the best example because again, my mom's not very avid in the community.
But yeah, general like here's my general kind of going off what you just said. Generally, I feel a movie should at least be understandable. It should at least be able to be viewed by someone, even if it's a sequel to a franchise, it should still be viewed by somebody. And even if they hadn't seen the originals or they don't understand the source material, they should still be able to follow along with the story. Which is what I feel the MCU does perfectly, at least generally speaking. Yeah. Even if you haven't seen the previous movies in a franchise, they're so good about very cleverly just like giving you hints throughout the movie you're watching, just like small little like either flashbacks or just like one or just a couple of sentences summarizing what happened last time. Like I didn't see any of the previous movies before the Avengers movie. I understood Captain America's past. I understood what like Thor and Loki's relationship. I understood Iron Man. I understood all of that, and I hadn't seen the first Avenger before watching Winter Soldier. It very cleverly showed you told you what happened to Bucky. It told gave you glimpses of Steve's past. Like you didn't need to see that before watching Winter Soldier. If you had, it would have been good, but like you didn't need it in order to get the context. It was still a good movie regardless. So
yeah, and like rewards the ones who do know all the details and everything beforehand, but like it's not a requirement to enjoy this movie.
Yes. I have a strong feeling that Zack Snyder's Justice League, it'll essentially only be understandable if you had watched BVS. And that's really only understandable if you really watched Man of Steel. So like I don't know. Like
yeah, we'll see. I don't know, because like I guess my thing is too is like how like is like at what point is it like okay to make it just for the fans versus just for everyone? Because like and I understand like for blockbuster movies it should be more for everyone
Yeah.
because obviously not just the fans are going to make your movie billions of dollars probably. So it's important to like be able to everyone, even if you're not dissect every little detail of, oh, that's the one thing from this and that thing from comic book number 287. And you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
It should be like for that, but at the same time, like, kind of like Endgame, for example, again, it's like, that movie's way better if you actually have seen all of or most of the Marvel movies.
That I will say in that particular instance, that movie doesn't make a lot of sense if you didn't see or know who Captain Marvel is, because she just kind of shows up.
Right. That's kind of what I'm saying. Or like, it's like that happens, or like how any of the time. If you haven't seen Ant-Man, none of the time travel makes any sense.
That's fair.
Like,
they do a pretty good job about when they are doing the time traveling, kind of generally summarizing.
Yeah.
This is where we all were. This is what was happening then, especially Thor 2. Like Thor just gave you the full summary of the movie.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was very clever.
Because you don't really need to go rewatch that.
Yeah, because like all the people in the audience would be like, if you've seen the first Avengers movie, you're thinking, wait, there's at least three Infinity Stones in New York. Why don't I just go there? But like while they're thinking about it in the movie, like you can still be ahead of the characters, but like they still seamlessly get there. Like it still makes sense in the movie you're watching.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's an extreme example, mainly because like the whole point of that movie is like it's basically a legacy movie at that point. Like that movie's not really a standalone movie. And it's not, even though it technically is, but really it's a part 2 anyway.
That's fair.
That's already kind of a thing. So like I guess it's not really fair for that movie. Yeah. But yeah, I guess in this case it'll be interesting to see, because like movies like other movies like Star Wars and stuff like that kind of do a better job of like, yes, they're continuations, but like they're more movies by themselves also.
Yeah, so I think the sequel trilogy floundered that a little bit. It's like relative to the other trilogies, but like
but what were they?
That's not. It's
furthest from the worst thing they did. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like
it's not the only problem structurally with the
it's like if a guy robs a bank, he probably didn't tie his shoes either. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like like if he's capable of that, he probably didn't do like the little things. So like,
but like you might have mentioned this, I think because Zack Snyder's Justice League is only releasing for the fans on HBO Max.
Right.
It really doesn't need to like follow this similar things like we've been discussing.
Exactly.
It really, if it just is a movie for people who've been following the Snyderverse and are huge comic book fans, I think that's fine for this movie because of the way it's being distributed and just kind of the kind of movie it is. I think it works.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, I'm up to the point where I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to watch BBS. Believe it or not, I'm going to probably watch BBS before just going in. Not Man of Steel, just because like, I think we'll be okay. I think I remember enough of that.
I'm sure you watched the Ultimate Edition. It's way better.
Oh, I don't think we'll be doing that. Is it on HBO Max? The Ultimate
Edition? Both cuts are on HBO Max.
Of course they are. Why do I even ask that? But, yeah, we'll see about that.
Actually, the Definitive Edition was actually re-released on HBO Max a couple weeks ago in 4K.
Oh, 4K, you say?
So like, with like the like boxy aspect ratio of that, the Snyder Cut will be in so you'll get to see more stuff happening.
Okay.
In like the IMAX format, I guess. Yeah.
So the Ultimate Edition's 3 hours long. I didn't know that.
Yes, it is.
Oof. That I don't think I could. I might have to.
I don't think there's an after credit scene. There's not an after credit scene. So like, really, it's only 2 hours and 50 minutes. So,
okay.
Even though the scene where Wonder Woman looks at those trailers for the next movie should have been an after credit scene, but it's fine.
Yes, but that's okay. I mean, I don't mind if they do that in the movie. It's just like follow up, But I mean, they kind of
don't stop the don't. don't do it literally right before the climax. Like,
Yeah, that
stop
probably
it.
wasn't the best
Because then,
moment.
yeah.
Yeah, because like I'm not gonna, I kind of expected them all to show up a little bit. But like, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
well, if they're gonna tease them all, so are they all gonna show up? Because like Wonder Woman kind of came out of nowhere anyway.
Yeah.
So it stands to reason that if she can just show up, anyone else probably can.
Mm-hmm.
And that probably would have been easier to like move. Well, I mean, at that point, it was already kind of.
It was already a mess.
But like, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
why not just bring the whole Justice League? You already got everything else going on.
Yeah, like,
but we'll see.
I don't recommend watching the Ultimate Edition, but
maybe the second half. I don't know.
I don't know. Like,
we'll see.
There are definitely, as far as I've seen on Twitter, there actually are a couple of things in the IMAX 4K cut that like you see more parademons in the Doom, in like the Nightmare timeline. You get like, you see more of the actually, just, it doesn't necessarily, it's not stuff that matters, but like,
never is.
I don't know. There's something about the fact that, you know, these people did make this movie for IMAX, yet some of the stuff had to be cut down for a theatrical cut. Like, you know, these people put effort into these, you know, into the CG and effects that you just can't see otherwise. But not that it matters. But I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, I don't know if I'm actually. I don't think I'm actually going to watch the 4 just because I don't know. I'll try to get familiar, do what I can, maybe watch some scenes, read more about it, just to like refamiliarize myself, because it has been a while, I will admit, because it's not exactly my favorite movie. But
I kind of love it. It's bad, but I love it.
See, I kind of envy that, because like if I don't like something, I just don't watch it.
That's fair. Yeah. I'm not that way with every movie. I hate Rise of Skywalker. Like, I will not watch that movie again. I've watched it twice. I can't do it again anytime soon. I have to wait at least a year. Like, unless I'm watching all 3 back to back to back, just to like see the train wreck that is this trilogy, and then you obviously love the middle one, but then like have all that destroyed by the next one, now having nothing to do with this one. So like,
oh no, I can't. I saw it once in theaters, and I'm like, it's gonna be a while, because it was just annoying, because it was just like, because it was weird, because like going in, I kind of had a bad feeling, but you know, because like the whole Palpatine being back, first of all, not the move at all. And of course, them 5 seconds in, oh yeah, Palpatine's just back.
The dead speak, he's back. Okay, like whatever. Like literally, from the moment the title was revealed as The Rise of Skywalker, I knew there should have been. I knew something was up. I should have known deep down that this movie was going to be a train wreck just by it calling itself The Rise of Skywalker.
Because like,
what could that mean?
What Skywalker? You know, like, I mean, even Ben's not really technically a Sky. I mean, he is, but isn't like legally, I guess. Yeah, that's how names work in Star Wars. But the movie isn't even about him. He's not even the Skywalker we're talking about.
It's
like, okay, Luke's dead. Anakin's super dead at this point. Like,
Leia's dead.
Leia
dies in that movie.
Yeah.
Ben basically should have really had a redemption arc. They kind of botched that. So like,
yes, they did. And then he just died for some reason. Like, I don't understand how you have force healing and then he still dies.
Because he wasn't. Because he had to give all of his life force to bring her back to life.
Why?
So they.
Like, okay, my thing is, if you can bring like, I'm not saying force healing never existed, but like in this context, it didn't really happen until just now.
Yeah.
So if you can just pull that out of your butt, so to speak, you can't just pull this out of your butt. You know what I'm saying? Like, in for a penny.
No,
like,
you're right. Yeah.
Like, you can't like,
have her not die.
It's like, I hate to be the guy to be that's how the force works, but like. If you're just kind of making it up at this point, like, you can just make it work for you.
Or just have her not die in the first place.
Yes! That's the thing. It's like, why does it get to die at all? I mean, and because they've been teasing. I mean, Chewbacca died and then didn't. C-3PO died and then didn't. Like,
Palpatine died and then didn't.
Exactly. The theme of the movie is LOL JK, basically.
No one's ever really gone except Kylo.
Yeah, no one's really gone except when they actually die. Like, yeah, that kind of didn't make any sense.
Why not?
But I digress because we've done this before. But like, still, like, yeah, I saw that in theaters. It was just kind of like, this is like, okay, it might be all right. And the opening crawl, ooh, -1 point. And then like 5 minutes into the movie, Palpatine came back somehow. Are we just not gonna acknowledge like one? Like, if I was on that crew, I'd have been like, can I just say this is?
They say cloning, dark magic, stuff we haven't seen in generations. Like, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. You can't just say that and expect us to
But it's like,
no,
it's like, oh, you have to read the novel or something. And I'm like, first off, like that's a cop out. That's not even like, you know what I'm saying? It's like there is no, like, I'm not saying Star Wars books aren't important. They extremely are.
Mm-hmm.
But what Star Wars movie did I have to read the novelization to understand the movie?
Yeah.
like there's
you can have extra stuff in a novelization.
So now if there's little detail in between movies,
sure.
Yeah. But like it's not like the
pivotal,
biggest plot point.
Yeah. The most important point. The thing that if it was actually in the movie would actually make me not think it's an F tier movie, maybe a D tier movie.
But no, it's like super, like the most super important thing in the movie.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, you have to read the book. It's like, first off, you know these people aren't reading the book. That's like only only the true fans actually read the books.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know that. You should know this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've only read a handful of Star Wars books in my whole life, and I've loved Star Wars for pretty much my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like, I don't expect to have to read the book for the like in theaters $1 billion movie. Like,
let alone reading the book for the Rise of Skywalker.
Exactly.
I'm not doing that.
No.
Like, that movie does not deserve me to not only desire my attention of watching it, let alone desiring my further attention of reading it. It's not happening.
And it's just annoying because it's like there are scenes in that movie I like. I think the idea of Luke and Leia training is really cool.
Yes.
I think the idea of what else is cool in that movie.
Even though like Han Solo Force Ghost, why not? Like,
see, like that's something I would have been okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm kind of like, but like that's kind of that Force like pulling out of your butt stuff I'd be okay with. Because it's freaking Han Solo.
Yes, them like passing the lightsaber back through the Force. I love that.
Sure. Yeah. Like that can work. Sure.
Finn technically being Force sensitive. They should have gone with that full on instead of just like him almost telling Rey that he might be.
But that should have been a plot point in the last movie.
Yes.
Granted, that's more on Rian Johnson, but still, like, I mean, like you can't just do this. Like, first of all, who cares? Because at this point, you're either gonna help or you're not. Because like you almost being Force sensitive doesn't matter at this point in the movie.
Unless you're gonna lift the rock, it doesn't. Who cares if you're?
Unless you are just like, the chosen one somehow out of your butt. Like that doesn't. We're the third movie. You maybe be able to lift the rock does not help us.
Yep.
So like, Also, Finn's complete arc was wasted anyway. So it's not like anyone. It was too late for us to care about him anyway, which sucks because he could have been a great character.
He had potential to be one of the coolest Star Wars characters ever.
Yes.
Being a disgraced stormtrooper who held a lightsaber in the first one and seemed to be pretty good at it.
Yeah, like
him and Kylo Ren never saw each other again for the rest of the movie.
Say what?
The rest of the trilogy. Finn and Kylo Ren never saw each other for the rest of the trilogy.
And neither did Poe either, did he?
No,
because they had that first scene in the very first one, and I don't think they ever saw each other again.
Yeah, all three of them were there, and like there was clearly, oh my goodness, the sequel to the movie that J.J. Abrams made. If Rise of Skywalker was supposed to be like the true sequel to Force Awakens, he didn't even follow up on basic themes of his movie.
No.
Oh my goodness.
Which at that point it's like I don't even know. But like like imagine Avatar if like literally like it's like imagine it's like the main characters like if like Aang and Zuko like never saw each other.
Yes. If Aang and Zuko interacted on the boat the first episode and then
never interacted again.
Aang was already off to fight the Fire Lord before Zuko turned to the good side.
Basically, yeah. So it doesn't even matter at
Yeah.
that point because I never even saw you. Who cares? It's because they interact so much in between and go on these separate but kind of similar journeys that makes it so. And here it's just kind of like, oh, you're the bad guy. I'm the good guy. End of the movie. Oh, he was a good guy. Good for him.
Yeah, sure.
That's it. We don't get it, and it's so weird because they were on the screen a lot. You saw a lot of Finn just kind of being there,
shouting Rey a lot.
Yes, and Rey and Kylo shared a lot of time, which but because of the whole forced space time, which isn't a terrible idea.
No, I liked it.
It was kind of used in a way that gave them an excuse not to have them ever actually talk in person, except for the one throne room scene, pretty much.
Yeah, and that's fine. I feel they misused it heavily in Rise of Skywalker, but it's still a very cool concept.
Right, and that's kind of my thing. It's kind of even in Rise of Skywalker, it's they didn't really need the other characters anymore.
Yep.
It's kind of pretty much it. It's kind of if Darth Vader and Luke, it's Han Solo never saw Darth Vader the whole time. It's kind of hard to
Yeah.
Because one of one of the most memorable scenes, at least for me, in Empire is Darth Vader shows up for dinner.
Yep.
Because everyone's just oh crap, and he doesn't even think, just okay, I'm gonna shoot him. He doesn't even react.
It's great.
Which is the most honest reaction ever, by the way. No one ever has that reaction. That's how it would go down. And it's stuff like that, which is the villain should be there and be a villain to everybody. He doesn't really feel like a villain to anyone else if I only see him for the first part of the first movie and never see him. The guys hear about him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's kind of and I get there's only one of him, but there's only one of you too.
Especially since they did have this relationship, he, Finn was a deserter. They have a connection to the First Order.
Yes.
If also, I guess if Kylo actually or Ben actually had deserted from the First Order, they would have had that in common. So it was almost there. It was.
That's what I was That's why it's so frustrating because it potentially could have been really good.
Mm-hmm.
There were different areas you could be oh, they could have gone down this path. They could have used this for that because characters had things. It's it's two people in real life that would be great friends, but they just never meet each other, and it's just frustrating because you're just oh, you guys would get along so well.
Yeah, which yeah.
It's a whole thing, I know, but it's fine. I mean, it happened. We're past it.
That there are very few movies that legitimately make me angry. Generally, I can dislike a movie. I can think a movie is F tier or whatever, but very few movies legitimately make me just upset this yes. Why the Skywalker does.
It's a frustrating movie.
Yeah, I can't even hate watch it like I can Suicide Squad or BVS. It's in a tier of its own of just unfortunate messiness.
F for frustrating, yes. But
hopefully Justice League won't be that.
We'll see. I hope not. But I mean, it's gonna be something. We'll see. It could be great. It could be awful. The Joker's in it for some reason. So we'll see.
Sure. So sticking with Warner Brothers for just a second. Apparently, both a Batgirl show and a Zatanna show are both in the works for HBO Max.
Okay. Very good characters. How this is gonna work, I have no idea because
technically be connected to the DCEU. I don't know.
Do you think they might try to do the whole WandaVision, Winter Soldier, Falcon, Winter Soldier, making shows that connect with movies? Because I kind of like that strategy in general.
I really do like that strategy, and since they do have HBO Max, they do have a vehicle for this. I think I say go for it.
Yeah, it's super copycat, but I mean, at this point,
it's fine.
We know what you're trying to do.
I know, a Green Lantern Corps project has been tossed around all over the place. I think that would work so much better as a show.
Yes.
You can still have a Green Lantern on the Justice League proper, but if you really want to delve into how the Green Lantern Corps works, since there are so many Green Lanterns that people actually care about.
And a lot of good ones.
Yeah, like having a show which each episode dedicated to a different one
Right.
I think that would work a lot better than having a movie just bloated with 5 or 6 screens.
Could you imagine kind of almost like a Mando style like Green Lantern where they have different episodes about different lanterns, like episode 5 maybe like Hal meets up with Guy Gardner or something,
Yes.
and like like they come together when needed and they all go back to Oa or something.
So Hal Jordan is like the main Green Lantern for the show, but he meets up with others throughout. Yeah.
Yes. There's a Kilowog episode. There's, maybe the Sinestro's a good guy for the first part. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a good idea. Because I think the Green Lantern Corps has always been kind of underrated just because, like, Green Lantern's powerful, but, like, no one, like, they're all the same, more or less, which kind of true, but kind of not. But, like,
yeah, and same with Batgirl, especially since she hasn't been introduced yet, even though theoretically her character should be around in the DCU because Batman's been for 20 years.
And the Birds of Prey is like a thing, more or less.
Although it's not.
Yeah, I know
her. Like, I don't think it'll be Cassandra Cain. I'd want it to be Barbara Gordon. Also, if they do Batgirl, this would also have another great opportunity to bring back J.K. Simmons as Jim Gordon.
Yeah,
he was great in that role.
Always...
do it.
Always more J.K. Simmons. Yeah, I'd be for that. But yeah, I think that's a great. Yeah, because again, I think shows are very good ways of fleshing out minor storylines and like not A-tier characters in terms of your universe. So like obviously, with Batman and Superman in the movies, having that in this case Batgirl and Zatanna, who are very important DC characters, but not, the most recognizable people in the comic book existence.
Yeah. And plus, like, since Dr. Fate is going to be a major character in the Black Adam movie next year, well, I don't think that'll technically be its own separate, universe of stuff happening, but like we could still kind of get some semblance of the Dr. Fate origin story in Zatanna's show. So
yeah, I think it's a good idea. And I think that show to movie thing, I'm not gonna lie, like I think that's one of the most clever things I've ever heard. Like because again, it allows you to flesh out characters that need more time and and make the big blockbusters when needed. So I think especially with comic books where there's a lot of good minor characters, like a Dr. Fate or something like that, or like Constantine especially is the one that comes to mind.
Yep.
Something like this. All like the cool like magical characters or like characters that like couldn't carry a movie by themselves necessarily, but like So we'll see. I just hope they don't do Flash and Cyborg to try to do like copy and paste, and I don't know. We'll see. And just like we know they're like I don't know what they're gonna try to do, but I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, like I think Zack Snyder's Justice League will kind of shake up things, but I legitimately do see a future where his movies do continue and get sequels and other movies in the Zack Snyder verse. But then you will have movies like, Shazam and Black Adam in their own dimension. You'll have Flashpoint doing its own thing. You'll have maybe the shows technically being in their own dimension, but then can cross over. I could easily see them using the multiverse effectively and like actually having it work in a sense where it's not confusing to the audience to see characters, go back and forth, yet still, I don't know. Like I could easily see them making it work.
Yeah, I'm excited. I want to see how it goes, but we'll see what happens. But
so time to find out what Disney is up to now. So we all know that Avengers Endgame is the biggest movie ever made, correct? Well, some idiot decided to re-release Avatar, the blue people back from 2009 in China again. And because it made like, $1 million or $2 million, it's now technically the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah. No, it's literally Disney just like competing with itself.
Why?
Like literally. Because now they can re-release Endgame when movies come back. So you can get the theater experience all over again. They know what's up.
Like that's exactly what they're gonna do.
Yeah, and it's gonna work because I'm gonna go see it.
It's on Disney Plus right now.
But it's not in theaters, and I will pay for it. Like, and I know it's like I know you're scamming me, and I'm 100% here for it. Like that's the problem.
Like I've already done an Infinity War to Endgame double feature. I would absolutely sit in a double feature in theaters.
Do it in a theater with a bunch of like you can't replicate the screaming fans in your house. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Like you can freak out about it by yourself, but like in the theater when everyone got hyped, it was unreal. It's like unlike anything ever.
Yes.
So I would pay money to replicate that for sure.
Mm-hmm. Like a part of me doesn't understand why re-releases count towards a movie's box office success.
I mean, it's still technically in the theater, so
I guess, but yeah, like Disney, they're just gonna
100%. And they've got my money. I mean, I don't even care. Like, if that's I mean, honestly, yeah. Like, if that comes out, if they have that when like movies like are officially back and everything, me and my friends will go do it, 100%.
Yeah, like
I don't even care.
Like even, I have a feeling that. Hang on, let me think, because I know Black Widow is still apparently slated for May. Shang-Chi is still going to be in July. I could easily see them doing this in like September, October-ish, somewhere kind of in there.
Yeah, right in that sweet spot of post-COVID, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then if something with Thanos is relevant to the Eternals movie, that could be easy. Like,
it's true.
They
totally did this on purpose. Like they know what's up.
Mm-hmm. And maybe technically, like how it was distributed in China didn't necessarily go through Disney, but it is still all Disney's money since they own Fox. So like, even if it wasn't Disney's plan to have Avatar reclaim the spot just so Endgame could then come back and reclaim it, it's still just going to them anyway. So like they're still getting money either way. So like
No, I mean, I know it's like they didn't technically, but like there's no way Disney has no idea this happened. Like somebody greenlit this, and it's the whole, what is it, Jerry's Chess or whatever for the Pixar short where he's like playing himself. It's that whole thing. Like they know what they're doing. They're setting it up like, oh, Avatar's back. Endgame takes it back again. Like compete, you know what I'm saying? Like they're winning the whole thing. Like
exactly.
They know what's up. And it's smart to do it that way because again, like I said, I know you're playing me, but I'm totally gonna work. It's just, I mean, that's that was a once in a lifetime kind of feeling. So like, if I can like get like half of that again, I'm for it.
Yep, absolutely. So I know why, because money, like we just said. But Disney is continuing their tirade of remaking every single animated classic movie. Apparently, a movie called Peter Pan and Wendy is in the works coming out next year.
Okay.
And Jude Law is Captain Hook. So,
really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I haven't heard about this. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
sure. Again, probably didn't need to be remade because, again, like everyone already likes Peter Pan. But I mean,
so maybe I haven't had as much exposure to Jude Law as I should, but like I feel like he's in my head. He's not the right pick for Captain Hook. If it's the Captain Hook from the original Peter Pan, he is a very, very goofy villain.
Yeah.
Like, I've only ever really seen Jude Law in either like serious roles or like the straight man in a crazy world role. So I'm not really sure how well it'll translate. I hope they don't try to make it all serious or whatever, but like he is a fantastic actor, so I don't doubt him doing a great job in the role he's given. If they're just gonna make Peter Pan, I would want the essence of that Captain Hook in a movie again. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Because even like I can't think of anything on top of my head because all I think of is like, was it Jan Ra or whatever from Captain Marvel, something like that.
I
But
know he was Dumbledore in one of the Fantastic Beasts movies.
Okay, that's
Um,
true.
Yeah, because like, even Dustin Hoffman from Hook back in the '90s, like he gave off a very similar vibe to the original Captain Hook. So, like it can be done.
They should just got Johnny Depp and the guy who plays Mr. Gibbs to like Hook and Sphinx. That would have like that would that would have been hilarious. Like I would have gone just for that 100%.
Yeah, I would. I totally would. That's good.
I don't even care who's playing like Peter Pan. I'm like, I'm in. Oh man, Mr. Gibbs. I mean, see. And then do we know who plays Peter or Wendy?
I don't have the information in front of me.
Fair enough. Okay.
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, they're making every single, for some reason, all the successful ones they're making,
sequels
redone.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of like, why? Margaret Robbie apparently is Tinkerbell. So there's that.
Hang on. I thought I read someone else. I don't remember the name. I thought
maybe that might be wrong. I don't know.
Hang on. European and Wendy cast. Okay. Here I'm seeing a woman named Yara Shahidi.
Oh, that's the girl from. I think that's the girl from Blackish. Okay, so yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'm wrong. I saw something else. Yeah. Okay. Now, I just looked.
Okay.
You're right.
I'm looking forward to people being mad that they're making, they're changing the race of Tinkerbell.
Oh yeah, they're making Tinkerbell black now. That's a problem.
Tinkerbell is yellow.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, first of all, she's a what? Is it a pixie? It's a fairy, right?
Yeah.
Or is it a pixie?
It's a fairy. Yeah.
Fairy. Same difference. Who cares? The point is, not human. That is yellow. The same people that were mad that an orange alien was being played by a black person, which makes no sense. Again, like if the person is not human, does it really matter who's playing them?
It does not.
I don't understand that, but I'm sure because what? I guess she was originally modeled after a white person, but isn't like.
It was the 50s. Like that was standard back then.
Like, yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it was like the 50s. Like, it's like, I hate to say it, but like, things weren't too great for black people back then. So like, I get it. But that doesn't mean you can't adjust it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so that should be interesting. Yeah, hopefully that works out. I like her too. She's cool. So I'm hoping
Peter Pan is one of those franchises that it's kind of like Robin Hood and Knight of the Round Table. What's that guy's name?
Shoot, now I'm forgetting. King Arthur?
King Arthur, yeah. It's kind of like those where it's like it feels like there's a new Peter Pan movie or IP or something every single 4 years. Because there was a Pan movie that came out in 2016.
Yeah, not that long ago.
No one saw.
Well, 2016 had a lot of other movies coming out.
It did, yeah. It was Finding Neverland, which was the kind of more abstract thing. Was Johnny Depp actually in that? There was Return to Neverland, which was the direct-to-DVD sequel back in 2004, I think. Actually, kind of recent. There's been one or two others since. Also, it's just kind of this ever-present thing that they just keep doing over and over again.
Yeah.
So Disney themselves making a direct Peter Pan remake. Sure. Why not?
Sure. I mean, I guess. I don't know. I'm still not on the train of making remakes of movies that don't necessarily need to be remade when you have a bunch of other properties that could totally benefit. But I'm not the one making billions. It probably will, just because enough people like Peter Pan and Disney to just give them their money. So I get it. But I'm kind of worried Disney's kind of going to get a little bit complacent with just all right, what hasn't come out in the last 5 years? All right, redo it, throw it back out there, and then $1 billion. But
yeah, it's worked out for them so far. Beauty and the Beast made $1 billion, Aladdin made $1 billion, Lion King made $1.5 billion. Dumbo did not, but you know what?
Yeah, but I don't think Dumbo was anyone's favorite movie, to be honest.
No.
And honestly, I mean, you could make the argument like, at least I didn't think, I thought Aladdin was okay. I didn't think it was worth $1 billion.
No.
And I
Beauty and
know
the
how you
Beast
feel
was
about
not.
The Lion King, so I'm not even going to start over that can of worms.
Nope.
But yeah, so
No.
I'm kind of like not, because even when they first started with Beauty and the Beast back with I think Emma Watson, and I was kind of like, Beauty and the Beast is way
Well, this
too.
really started with Cinderella.
Oh, that
Back in
is right.
2014.
That is right. I forgot
15?
about that.
Yeah.
Something
15.
like that. Yeah.
But yeah.
But but it's like everyone knows those stories. And I'm not
Mhm.
saying that like you can't redo good stories, but it's like you don't have to. Like, plus Cinderella's been done to death.
Mhm.
We all know Beauty. Beauty and the Beast isn't even that. Isn't Beauty and the Beast like a '90s movie anyway?
Yep. Same with Lion King.
And Mulan. So it's like, it's like granted, like, yeah, like Mulan's like 97.
I think it's 98.
Like that.
I think it's
98 maybe. But like, like right around when we were probably born. So like granted, I understand like younger kids, but like, why are you gonna have adult themes in it?
Yeah.
And then, like, it's like, well, who's your target audience? People who've already seen the first one and aren't gonna like it as much, or people who haven't really seen the first one as much and
people who've already seen the first one and want to relive their childhood, and because they have low standards for movies, think this is as same quality as the ones they saw in their past.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you could just watch the old one again. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Correct.
There's like, you could literally just be like, all right, up the graphics to 4K, throw it on the theater. Boom. That would probably make plenty. But this one's different. How? Well, we're gonna do the same thing, but make it with less music that's not as good and bad CGI. It's like,
usually bad CGI.
You had me at bad music. Like, and it's just like, I don't.
These movies are technically impressive. Like, it is visually very impressive what they did with those lions and stuff. But like, because you made them so realistic, them talking and singing didn't look right.
No, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, I rather would have had them look a little more cartoony if it would have like matched up with like.
Or however they did it back in the Chronicles of Narnia, like Aslan.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, when he was talking, like, he just felt real.
That movie's from like over 10 years ago, and it's like
15, 16 years ago. Yeah.
That was like during the whole like every studio has their fantasy Lord of the Rings thing. So like, it was like, that was a hot minute ago. Like, I don't know, but
yeah.
See, like, I don't know, man. I just don't think they're just. I think they're just remake. Again, they're making money regardless. But yeah, I feel like they could stand to remake other things.
Yes.
Like, I'm still waiting for that Treasure Planet with Tom Holland. There you go.
Yeah.
$1 billion.
Treasure Planet.
Easy.
Atlantis, like movies that just didn't get their due at the time. Great Mountain
Atlantis
Detective.
with Tobey Maguire as the guy or something.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Right? That came out of my butt just now.
Oh my goodness.
$1 billion. Easy. People would watch it for the memes alone. Like, it's like, oh man,
Yep.
why aren't they funding that?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
But seriously, like, that's the whole, like, it's like, you don't have to even, like, I'm not saying, like, they do make good original content. Because again, Soul's really good. I've heard good things about Raya and the Last Dragon. I haven't seen it myself yet because I ain't paying extra. But, like, if you're gonna remake something, you might as well remake something new, like new-ish, something that not everyone's already seen.
Yeah, but this is way less of a risk, and they know it's gonna make bank. So like,
but like, I mean, if they really did Treasure Planet right, like made it look half as good as it should, with live action, it's gonna be amazing.
And that movie already perfectly blended 2D with CG animation. Like,
yes,
it was great.
It's already half done pretty much. Like, you just have to put Tom Holland's face in there, give him the weird ponytail haircut, and go for it. There's couple, just get some CG robot characters looking people in there. You'll be fine. Like, I don't know. We'll see. I I say in the next 3 to 5 years they'll probably do something like that. I don't
Absolutely,
know if it'll be
absolutely.
Treasure Planet specific, but it'll be one of those movies everyone's forgotten about.
Mm,
And then I'll be like, thank you.
thank you.
And
Yes,
then
because I know they're making uh, Little Mermaid next year as well.
oh yeah, because no one's seen The Little Mermaid, right? Like,
Uh,
come on, man. Like, that's what I'm saying. You're like picking the top 10 most famous Disney movies.
mhm.
And it's like, oh, where like, oh, Little Mermaid. Oh, was Sleeping Beauty already? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, come
Yeah,
on.
we got
Man. Like,
Maleficent, so yeah, kind
that's
of.
what I'm saying. Like, and that's one thing. When you do Maleficent from the villain's point of view, that's one thing. But like, you're just rehashing the same movies. It's kind
Mm,
of like, dude.
yeah.
I mean, you're not
Yeah.
really adding anything here. But
Oh
I
well,
digress. We'll see.
it's gonna make a billion just because.
It is gonna make a billion.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Speaking of just making Disney so much money, like I have been wanting this specifically on Disney Plus since launch day.
Hmm.
The old Clone Wars show from 2003 is officially coming to Disney
Yes.
Plus in April.
Yes. This I did hear about. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The like Samurai Jack like
Yep.
style.
Same guy who made Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. This show was dope. I remember watching this.
Mm. I've seen a couple of clips, but like it's a show I just want to just binge and just absorb in one day.
It's
just,
great.
Oh my god, it's gonna be
because
good.
the two things I remember from the show were everyone is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is no character that's just like the Jedi or OP. General Grievous is ridiculous in the movie. Like it's crazy. And also there's like no talking except for like obvious talking scenes, which I really like.
Yes, again, very reminiscent of Samurai Jack.
Like, exactly. Like it was very quiet fighting. Like there's a whole fight scene in one of them where it's like 10 minutes of just going. There's not a word said. And like they just stop and like breathe heavy and like it starts to rain. And so, you know what I'm saying? It's just goodness. Like it's so like, yeah, this is where it's at. So yeah. Big ups for this.
Yeah. Like that's not really that's not really how the Jedi are in the prequels or in the the Clone Wars show we like in 2008, but like as a show that's really cool.
Yeah. Yes.
Like I don't care about canon if it's just a cool concept. Like who cares?
And there are some things in there that like obviously don't add up anymore, but like at the time this was really cool.
Yeah, which is why I was a little afraid that the show wouldn't go on Disney Plus at all because it's nowhere near canon.
Right.
But because they I guess since the Clone Wars show has been over for over a year now, they're like, we'll just throw it on there.
And I think they're comfortable enough. It's like when you're comfortable enough with what you presented with the new Clone Wars show, because again, like with the last season being as hyped and as a big deal as it was, I think they're fine saying, okay, we can bring this in. I don't think anyone's going to tarnish this, at this point. If it had ended with the first season or two, that's one thing. But like as it got to its personal, like this is as much of Star Wars as almost anything else.
Yeah,
I think they're okay with bringing back the other one.
So yeah, I'm very excited for that.
100%. Yeah.
So a little bit of other nerd news. Venom 2 has officially been delayed from June 25th to September 17th.
Oof. Okay. That's this year, right?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. I kind of forgot about that with all the other movies. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, like it was one of those movies that it was supposed to come out last year, but it got delayed, obviously.
Right.
And then, like we've heard nothing from it. We've seen no trailer, no screenshots, set nothing from this movie. Like, and the fact that it was coming out in June, was like I still question Disney's idea of putting Black Widow out in May, let alone. So let alone putting Venom 2 just a little bit after that. I don't know if it'll be, people will be ready to watch that in theaters, but delaying it out to September, I think is the right call.
I think that's a smarter move, yeah, just because, I don't know if they'll be ready. And also, if people are going to go to the movies, they're not going to see Venom 2 over Black Widow at all.
No.
No.
They would absolutely go see Black Widow over Venom if given the choice.
Yes. And but I think it'll be interesting. I think I think because the last one was a lot of granted, it wasn't necessarily written the best, but the fan service was good when it was there. So I think as long as they kind of we'll see what
We'll
happens here.
see.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll
I'm not.
see.
I'm not a
Carnage is
huge.
going to be the main villain. I don't know how they're going to do it. Just, I mean, the Venom's whole thing is messed up. But like,
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But I mean, if you ignore the plot points, we'll see what go into. And that's kind of. I'm gonna go into it with the mindset of okay. Don't think about the comics because you're going to be disappointed instantly because this is already on a dumpster fire in terms of continuity. But in terms of just, symbiotes fighting each other, we'll see how it goes.
We'll see. Yeah, at least this time they'll be different colors.
Yeah. So. Allegedly. We don't know yet. You might be giving them too much credit. So, yeah, Carnage should be red, but we'll see what happens.
He might be like a bright purple or something.
We don't know. We don't see. We'll see. Until I see it for sure, I'm not giving up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a headache watching that the first.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. What was that one's name? Havoc?
I think it was Riot, I believe.
Riot, yeah, Riot.
Yeah. They all have names like that, like Havoc, Riot. I know it was like Anti-Venom, like
Toxin. Just
There's some good names. There's some good names. I'm not gonna
Pink
lie.
one.
Yeah.
Nope, you had to pick the gray one because of course you did.
The gray one versus the other gray one.
Black or very, very dark purple. It's kind
That's
of
what I'm saying, but like at that point, it basically just looks like dark gray versus darker gray, pretty much.
Yeah.
And like, that plus like I'm colorblind, so like for me it was like
fair enough. Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
But so maybe them at least being different colors will be at least a little bit.
We'll see. Maybe I'll just like I'll need a little scorecard or an outline or something. Or hopefully, as long as they don't just like kind of mesh together like they did the first time. I feel like that was kind of a sloppy way to make this, a kind of a lazy way to make this fight look.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So it's time to do one of my favorite segments we do here.
Oh man.
Bad movie backlog. So a couple days ago, me and my brother finally sat down and watched a movie neither of us had seen before. What we all heard was very, very bad. Dark Phoenix. It's not called X-Men Dark Phoenix.
No, I know.
Phoenix.
No.
Just Dark Phoenix.
It's just Dark Phoenix.
And
that's all you need to know right there.
You know what? This movie, like I've heard for years now, almost 2 years at this point, this movie was like, the worst X-Men movie. This movie, like they just, kind of rush it out. They just kind of like it, obviously them doing the Phoenix again wasn't necessary at all because they already did it and messed it up once, so they're going to mess it up a second time, sure, whatever. Like
they did.
They did. The acting, atrocious. Just like, just so much of this movie, like whenever characters are interacting, like there's one scene in particular where Beast, he's not actually Beast, but he is in a human form. He's like scolding Professor X for tricking Jean Grey, like betraying her and causing a major character to die. And Beast's actor, he was saying it as if he was reading these lines for the first time. It was just so jarring because I had to agree with what this guy was saying, even though he was a significantly worse actor and delivering these lines way worse than James McAvoy was. So just several times throughout the entire movie, just those kind of things were happening where I'm supposed to care, I'm supposed to be invested, but this acting is so bad, I just can't.
I just don't care.
Jennifer Lawrence, literally every single time she acted, it was as if she, like I said, if she was just reading a line for the first time, and she was the best actor in the movie. The color grading of this movie did it no favors, though. There were actually a couple of decent action sequences throughout that felt very X-Men-y, which is something I felt the previous movies kind of lacked. This is probably the closest the X-Men action had been to previous X-Men movies. The villain made absolutely no sense. They're basically Skrulls, but they're not. Like they're shape-shifting aliens who can like absorb other people's powers, I think is what they do.
Kind of.
It was
something
very.
like
Have
that.
you seen Dark Phoenix?
I've seen enough. I'll put it that way.
So like they can shapeshift, yet they don't utilize the shapeshifting really at all. Like they shapeshift into
only
their
when the plot
human
needs
form.
them to be good at it. They're good at it.
They shapeshift into their human form, like when they first get to Earth, and then never shapeshift into anyone else. They never shapeshift into any other X-Men or anything. They're just whatever. Also, the costume design. What on earth were those costumes? like the costumes at the very end of X-Men Apocalypse actually finally looked like the X-Men costume design, the ones from the comics, like we all wanted the original X-Men to look like. And then they just didn't use those and instead had these weird blue jumpsuits with ugly ugly yellow X's on them that looked like it looked like bad cosplay. Like it just didn't look like a movie grade costume design. But
yeah, they looked like they were kind of like they almost looked like life jackets, kind of, because the X's were kind of like puffy almost.
Like life jackets.
Yeah, it was just like it looked really like not really X-Men. It looked kind of like bad that family that cosplays together. Like it looked like that. Just kind of
and like I literally didn't care about pretty much any character in this movie. Almost no character interactions, no character relationships I cared about. Things just kind of happened, and I was supposed to follow along. I was supposed to care about what was happening. I just really couldn't. But like coming out of it, me and my brother were just like, we went into this expecting it to be a garbage, bad movie. But like, and there are definitely several things to nitpick and like complain about it. But it's kind of in that tier of bad movie where it's just kind of like so boring that you kind of can't latch on anything but the bad stuff. So like,
you don't. There's nothing good to balance it out. It's just kind of don't care.
There's like the train fight is actually pretty good, but that was last 20 minutes of the movie. So like up until then, there was nothing to distract me from
like most of their budget. You can kind of tell was like thrown at the last.
Sophie Turner's acting, like I know she's British, but like every fifth word sounded like the Britishism kind of slipped through. Like whatever. Like we got out of it. We're like that was definitely bad. But you know what? Like it was its own. It wasn't a complete train wreck. It wasn't like the worst thing we'd ever seen. Because we had watched X-Men Apocalypse 2 days before. Let's get into it. Oh my goodness. X-Men Apocalypse is legitimately one of the worst superhero movies I have ever seen.
Wait, hold on. Can I just say, okay. So he put this entire roast just as a ploy to roast the movie before this movie. Which again, granted, is fair because they're both very bad. Oh,
like,
go ahead.
Like I said, X-Men Apocalypse makes Dark Phoenix look kind of okay. Like Dark Phoenix is very bad, but like if I hadn't just seen Apocalypse, I probably would have way more to say directed at Dark Phoenix. But X-Men Apocalypse, essentially every complaint I have about Dark Phoenix, tenfold with Apocalypse. Like I'm not like the biggest X-Men fan. I do really like the characters a lot. I really like the X-Men cartoon. I think the first three movies, like I like some of the X-Men movies up to this point. I think X2 was great. X-Men 3 I think is a little too much hate. It is bad, but like I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. I adore X-Men Origins Wolverine. I think that movie is just a blast to watch. Again, terrible, but a blast. First Class is okay. Days of Future Past is fine.
Nah.
But Apocalypse is. Have you seen this movie?
Yes, that one I saw, and
It is on just like a whole other tier of just like I can't even like start to compare it to any other superhero movie I can think of, because like all of the bad Marvel movies, they're just kind of in that like boring yet inoffensive tier. Like even the Incredible Hulk is just kind of like not a lot happens, you know, like there's nothing to like really just like get angry at. There's nothing to really like complain, at least as far as like just from memory. Even Thor: The Dark World is just kind of bland, you know.
Yeah, you kind of just think of one scene and forget about it.
Yeah, but this movie, the entire time watching it from the jump, and then from then on, it got worse. Every scene after the next got worse. Like the pacing of this movie is non-existent.
It's just kind of doing its own thing. And
like,
none of it really makes sense either.
No.
It's kind of just expects you to get it. And you're like, I have so many questions.
Like, never before have I seen a movie where nothing happens for 80% of your runtime, and then everything happens in the last 20 minutes.
Yes. Yes.
Like, they could have cut out 40 minutes of this movie and nothing.
Oh, more than that. This movie could have been 45 minutes entirely with what actually was accomplished.
They spent the first half hour introducing characters we already knew about.
Yes.
They spent 30 minutes introducing what Magneto's up to, what Mystique is up to, a little bit with Cyclops, but I'll get to him later. But regardless, even though they spent so much time with the first half of this movie introducing and like going over what these characters are up to, like I said earlier this podcast, a movie needs to be coherent to a person just watching the movie in a vacuum. They don't need to watch any of the previous movies. I've seen Days of Future Past. I've seen First Class. This movie still was confusing to me.
And like, they don't really connect all that much at all, like any of them.
I'll get to that later.
Okay.
Like, they keep saying Magneto did this thing 10 years ago. Mystique is this hero for all mutants because of what she did 10 years ago. Yet they keep just saying the incident, or like, we appreciate what you did, and then never say what she did in this movie. So like, I know it's been a year or two since I've seen Days of Future Past, but I don't even really remember what she did. But
all I remember from Days of Future Past is that it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like,
they spent so much time introducing these characters without actually telling the audience why they matter, you know?
Yeah.
And because they spent so much time developing these or trying to develop these old characters, they didn't have any time left to develop any of the new characters. And there were so many brand new characters introduced in this movie, yet by the end of it, I didn't care about any of them.
No.
and like usual, I'll have each individual characters broken down later, but it's one of those movies where, like, tell me if this makes sense. It's one of those movies where it feels like every single scene is both too long and too short.
Yeah. Because it's too short because they don't explain what's going on enough, but it's too long as in like nothing's happening.
Yes.
Kind of.
Just a lot of characters just talking,
but like not adding anything to the plot or the story or their characters or any exposition. It's just kind of, we're having serious conversations without really saying anything.
A lot of time with Magneto in Poland with his little family at his metal shop, whatever. But we never really learn anything about him other than that he has a family who we know is going to die soon. Like, that's and like the fact that they die because one of the like police officers was holding a bow with like he was like distracted by like birds or something that the daughter like sent at him. He was distracted by something and he accidentally released the bow and it accidentally pierced through the mom and the child. Like, it was shot in such a way that looked like the arrow didn't even like release with that much force anyway. And it just hits them. He wasn't looking and it still hit them. Like
And
that's
also, if you're like not looking, how are you really like firing an arrow like that?
no.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It's
How did he had it at
like you
full
have to
torque?
be kind of like you have to like at least like who has an arrow fully trained and then kind of just like, huh, what?
Yeah, like you have
Like
it at full torque. Like
yeah,
how do you even move your arm
that's
that way
what like
to
if it was like a gun or something, that's one thing.
or a
But like
crossbow? No, it was a bow and arrow.
yeah, like that doesn't really make any sense.
Yep.
But I mean, we've
Like
been
if he
there.
was like shooting at a bird or shooting at Magneto or something and it missed, sure, but no, he just got distracted by birds and just released it. Now Magneto is bad again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I'm like, he could have just been bad the whole time. Like, you
Yep.
know, like it's like,
Mhm.
why do we have to make this whole thing? And
Yeah, we spent so much time developing this family that we knew was gonna die, and then all resolving in he should have been evil anyway. Like literally, you could have just had Magneto just like in the metal shop, and then Apocalypse shows up, and then that's it. Like you don't need anything before that. We know Magneto was a bad guy, so just let Apocalypse bring him in just out
as
of
a
the blue.
bad
Like
guy. Yeah.
that's enough. He already has enough leverage on him with the whole Auschwitz thing. So like that should be
Right.
enough. No, you gotta show this family that we're supposed to care about. Anyway, so the most baffling thing about this movie, and possibly the most baffling sequence of events in any movie I've ever seen, like, and I maybe say that phrase or something similar to that a bit, like, you know, fairly often, but like I legitimately think this is one of the most baffling sequences of events in any movie ever. So the X-Men mansion blows up.
Mm-hmm.
Havoc dies off screen. Havoc is just gone from the rest of the movie. Like we don't see him be engulfed in flames. We don't like see what happens. He shoots the Quinn or X jet, whatever it's called. It
Mm-hmm.
explodes, and then like the explosion comes out. We don't see Havoc die, but like it comes out, and then Quicksilver does his Quicksilver moment, like it's whatever.
Which is unfortunately probably the best scene actually in the movie.
Yes, it's. I have very mixed feelings about that scene. I think it does visually showcase what Quicksilver can do, but I think it's the way it's shot. I feel is just a little, I don't know, maybe a little awkward, maybe just a little like, I don't know, just I can't really put into words all my feelings about it, but like, I do like that scene a lot. I just think people overhype that scene a little bit. And
I think it's just because there's
whenever they
nothing else.
think of X-Men Apocalypse, they think of that scene only.
Exactly.
The
There's nothing else really that mattered in that movie, really. And like Quicksilver just kind of walks in. Oh, would you look at that? The place is blowing up. Let me go save it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just kind of casually.
Mm. So, you know, he does this Quicksilver scene, and then they're all out on the lawn, and then they just mention that Havoc's dead. Like, okay. And then these helicopters just come in, and Stryker is just there. And then all of a sudden, like, he knocks out all the mutants, and then he takes like 5 or 6 of them with him, and then they're just gone. And then they just leave the rest of the mutants just that were in the school just on the lawn. And we never cut back to them.
Nope.
Never.
Gone. And that's just it. And
that's it. Like, literally, like, the only reason the Stryker bit happens in this movie, which is like 30 minutes long, the only reason the Stryker sequence happens in this movie only exists so that Wolverine can have a cameo. That's the only reason that Wolverine can have a cameo. It serves no plot purpose because everything that happened in like the only thing narratively that happened during that was Apocalypse made Professor X give that message to everyone on the planet. That could have just happened while they were sitting on the lawn. That's pretty much it. Like, nothing else narratively was furthered by that sequence happening. It only existed to have the Wolverine have his cameo.
Yeah.
And then after they get out of Stryker's lab, they're just never talk about it ever again. They don't go back to the kids. They don't go back, to the lawn to pick up any of the other potentially, you know, like, other potentially strong mutants that could help them. No, just these are the ones we're taking into battle.
Yep.
Sure.
Everyone else, good luck, and
Okay.
don't call us. We'll call you. And that's it.
Like, more to say about that in particular in just a bit, but like, just oh my goodness, it's just that sequence, that Stryker sequence, just I can't. I can't. Like, it's too incongruous with what else was going on, especially since Mystique at the end of Days of Future Past was impersonating Stryker.
Mm-hmm.
But that's never brought up in this movie. That's never followed up on. There wasn't even a scene. There wasn't even like a moment where Stryker was talking to Mystique, scolding her or like talking about the fact that she used to impersonate him or something. Nope,
just kind of like, okay, whatever.
Forgot about it. Whatever.
I was gonna say, I'm like, how could you forget? That was like a huge thing, but also like the way it went about, it's like, okay, well, they had to forget about it because there's no way they just ignored it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's too big. It's like too important to ignore, but too, like, there had to be like there. It was a choice. It had to be a choice,
Yeah. Mm.
But then again,
and then after the climax, the movie just ends. Like, the world almost got completely destroyed. No fallout. We don't get any kind of indication of how the rest of the world is dealing with, the world almost just turning inside out. It just ends. And they're the X-Men now in the movie. Like, yeah, pacing is, this movie doesn't have pacing. It's one of the many issues with this movie. Now to go into each individual like major character who I thought made this movie what it is. Starting with Cyclops.
Oh boy.
If you're ever writing a movie or story or whatever, and you're first introducing a character, and the way you introduce a character is to have a different character say, "That's Scott for you," or "Oh, Scott," or just being Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Throw away the whole script. It's not going to be a good movie. Because literally how they introduce Scott is like, he's sitting in this classroom, like something with his eyes, like freaking out. Then he like goes to the bathroom and freaks out. And then, lasers happen. And then it cuts
Scott
to him.
Scott.
Yeah. It cuts to him being like, it cuts to Havoc going home. And Havoc is talking to his mom, and Havoc is like, "How's Scott doing?" And she's like, and Havoc's like, "Being Scott." Like, yeah, we don't know Scott. We haven't met this character before this moment. Literally, all the time he spent reintroducing Mystique and Magneto, I would have rather had like a 5-minute sequence of showing how Scott was before he unlocked his mutant powers. Like, was him winking at that girl intentional? Does he actually have a thing for her? Is he like, he has a bully, but like, is he actually a loser? Does he like think he's cool? Is he actually a cool kid? But this bully just like wants to put him down a peg. Like, who is Scott before he gets his powers? We don't know. And then after he gets to the school, we really don't get to know him after he gets his powers either. He just shows up, and then just immediately, once he learns how to control his powers, he just instantly becomes the cool guy on campus. Like,
it's like, right, it's like not explaining how we got there. It's just, oh, you're this character, now you're this character. There's no progression. Because again, we don't know how he started. We don't really know how he's going where he's going, and we don't know how he gets where he gets. So we really don't know anything about the character other than, he's Cyclops. That's pretty much.
And then like,
not really a character at all.
Nightcrawler shows up. Nightcrawler is my favorite part of this movie. Like, he just brings an energy that no other character does, and like, I actually feel like he actually feels like an actual real character when like no other character does. Like, he shows up and like, doesn't know what a mall is or whatever, and Cyclops is like, you don't know what a mall is? That we can't have that. Everyone road trip right now. Let's go. And then like him, Nightcrawler, Jean Grey, and Jubilee, who is in the movie. She's in the movie. She's there. She's there. Jubilee is technically in the movie. Well, that's literally all I can say. I don't think she has a single line through, maybe one line in the entire movie. Doesn't use her powers ever.
Yeah.
They don't bring her into the final battle. They keep doing this to Jubilee specifically because she was just in the background of X2 as well.
Yes. Which is so weird because like Jubilee kind of just like exists to say it's like Jubilee is like the X-Men like as like a box check off for X-Men. Like it's like, did you do Jubilee? Yes. Does she exist? Yes. Okay, good job.
Even though in the original trilogy they should have just had Jubilee be in Rogue's position because that worked so well in the original X-Men cartoon.
And Rogue can just be her own thing and actually be, a character. But it's fine.
It's fine. It's whatever.
It's not like Rogue's one of the strongest or anything.
So, it's not like her and Bobby never got together in the comics, whatever. It's fine.
It's fine. I don't know.
But yeah, like Jubilee, like they kind of, I thought they were building it up as if Jubilee was gonna like kind of be incorporated into this, like new kid on the block friend group of Cyclops, Jean Grey, Nightcrawler, and Jubilee, and then that would be like the main trooper following the rest of the movie. No, Jubilee is just left. She's just, when Stryker shows up and Jean Grey is able to trick them into not taking them and then sneaking out of the helicopter, she takes Nightcrawler and Cyclops, but not Jubilee with them. Yeah. Okay, well, whatever.
Just kind of exist because why not?
Yeah. Like of all the characters, I know I just said that Nightcrawler is my favorite because he has the most character of all these characters. Cyclops is a non-character. We know nothing about him after the movie.
They always do this to Cyclops, and I'm very upset about it because like Cyclops is one of granted, no one's ever been like, oh yeah, Cyclops is like the best character, but I've always really liked Cyclops.
Yeah, he's the leader of the X-Men.
Exactly. And like you have to at least have some like personality to be a leader, and like even in the like original movies, he kind of just felt like more of a plot device than a character, especially in X3.
Yeah,
but we won't go there.
No.
He kind of just exists because you need Cyclops for it to call it an X-Men movie, pretty much. But,
yeah. So yeah, next up is Beast, who we're 3 movies into this like new era trilogy, and I thought we were past the whole Beast taking steroids thing to keep in the blueness. No, he's still not blue for most of the movie. Like I thought him and Mystique talked about this multiple times in the previous 2 movies. Whatever happened to Mutant and Proud? No, he's just still some guy, and then forgets, like he forgot his medicine back at the base when it exploded, so he just had to be blue for the rest of the movie. Of all the characters in X-Men to want to suppress their powers, Beast is not the one you should go with.
Yeah.
It's his thing, at least as far as the X-Men cartoon, which is like my main exposure to the X-Men, but like I'm sure it carries over the comics too. His main thing in the cartoon is that like he is the proudest mutant, and like he wants people to take the mutants. He wants people to accept them just as as normal people, even if they are different. So you have him specifically in this movie not want to look different, just shatters that idea of what Beast should be like. But it's fine, whatever. Moving on to Mystique, the other blue person.
Other blue person.
Yeah.
No, other, because Apocalypse.
Yep.
Right, which we'll get there, I'm sure.
We will get there.
Hilarious.
Like I said, Mystique, I think she was technically the best actress in the movie. I think she technically gave the best performance. Still wasn't great. And yeah, again, like I said, the movie says multiple times that like she did something in the past. Storm looks up to her. She's an inspiration to mutants around the world.
Apparently.
But the movie doesn't tell us what she did. Like, I want to be like her when I grow up. Like, what do you mean be like her? You don't, the movie doesn't, you can't just expect us to remember what happened in the last movie, especially since this is apparently such a pivotal plot point for a bunch of characters we're supposed to care about. That was a big miss. And like this movie was kind of supposed to be her big redemption arc, even though Mystique is never a good guy, but whatever, we're past that. I guess she's like anti-hero at best, but she's never like on the X-Men, right?
Yeah.
This movie is apparently supposed to be her big redemption arc, yet we kind of already entered the movie with her being redeemed, and then there's nothing, she doesn't do anything specifically in this movie to have some kind of redemption. Like, she already kind of feels like this team is her family. Like, she already cares for all these people. Like, she's already,
and like how everyone looks up to her anyway.
Yeah.
So it kind of doesn't really matter.
So like when we're being reintroduced to her, she's kind of like being, like edgy and like almost anti-hero-esque, but the movie is also telling us that she's an inspiration to mutants. And then when she gets to the base, she just kind of sticks around and there's no animosity, there's no real redemption. She's just a part of the team once she gets there. It's very jarring. I think they could have handled that a lot better.
It's like, okay, we're here now, pretty much. Like, it's like no rising or it's kind of just like you never really weren't part of the team. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why you didn't feel like you were, but also
you were a founding member of the team.
Yeah.
And then you left, but Charles always said you had a place in this team. Then you came back and just had a place in the team. So like, why are you so mad? Like,
I don't know. And like, maybe there's one part of it, but like for the most part, it's kind of like, I'm kind of missing. Am I missing something? Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't. Who said you couldn't? It's like I finally earned my place. It's like, who said you lost it? Like, you gotta. If anything, you walked out of it yourself. Like, I don't really see the.
I don't know. Next up, Jean Grey. I know Sophie Turner is a good actress. I know she is fantastic on Game of Thrones. For whatever reason, her doing an American accent, don't do that ever again. Both this and Dark Phoenix, just something about, and like, I don't mean to like talk down on her, but like it just, especially in these movies where they don't seem to really care that much about accents, because Professor X isn't usually British, yet they just made him British for these movies.
Yeah.
So like, it wouldn't have mattered if you had made her British. This already clearly at this point isn't a prequel to the original X-Men trilogy anyway. Like, we're well past this being a prequel.
We're kind of doing our own thing. So I guess, like it would have been weird because Jean's not British, but like at this point,
who cares? Nightcrawler is on the team, but then he shows up in X2 just as a character, just out of nowhere. Like I said, we're well past this movie being a prequel. So like, it just, her English accent carried no weight. I got almost no emotion out of her. Just, I couldn't really care about much of what she was saying because I was just too distracted by how bad her acting was. I definitely did not feel, both in this movie and Dark Phoenix, I did not feel her and Cyclops' relationship. It just didn't feel real. It didn't feel earned. It just didn't feel right to me. And they like kind of tried to do a thing where it's like all of the other kids at the X-Men Academy felt that Phoenix and Cyclops were freaks, even though the point of the X-Men Academy is that they're all freaks here. So like,
what? Yeah, I'm like, no, don't even like, no, just like, What?
What?
That's completely like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's like the entire reason this exists is so that we are mutants that can live together
Mm-hmm.
and learn how to deal with our stuff together. That is the entire point.
And like I know Jean Grey is probably the weirdest one at the in the on campus, but like do you really think that Professor X wouldn't go out of his way to punish people who talk bad about Jean? Like that just
Right?
doesn't feel right to me. Like in every
Especially knowing how powerful she is too.
yeah.
Like she could just like mess around and like break someome's mind. Like, you
Mhm.
know, like
Yeah, which speaking of which, does she already have the Phoenix Force in this movie?
I think it was like suppressed, but I think a little bit, yeah.
Because she definitely like produced a big Phoenix avatar. When she's destroying Apocalypse, she already is more powerful than Apocalypse.
Which I'm like, all right.
Okay, sure, whatever. So like,
Yeah.
so why do you need for her to then absorb the Phoenix Force in the next movie? Which in Dark Phoenix, they never actually called it the Phoenix Force. They just said this cosmic entity. They never named it the Phoenix Force.
Yeah. But I guess since the movie's called Dark Phoenix, I guess that's okay, but like
No, no, no. I don't think it is. It would be like only referring to Thor's hammer as Thor's hammer. Everyone knows it's called Mjolnir, but if you don't name it in the universe as Mjolnir, then
no. I was trying to protect the movie. You were not having it.
I can't. No.
You were not having it. He said, "No, don't do that. Don't protect the bad movie. It knows what it's doing."
Like that right there just shows me that Dark Phoenix isn't even a sequel to this movie. Like there are so many things that happen in Dark Phoenix that I feel that were already ground that was covered in this movie, and also just completely ignored events that happened in this movie. Like it just, I don't know. That just didn't. That was a mistake. So moved on to the final character I'm going to talk about right now. The namesake of the movie, Apocalypse.
Hey.
He looks bad and talks weird.
Oh, he looks awful.
He looks like a Power Rangers villain.
He looks like there was one person. I need to pull this back up because there was one person. Somebody said something, and I was like, "That is the most correct thing I've ever heard." But like, yeah, he just looks terrible. Like, I don't. Yeah, and he looks like, and it's annoying too because he just kind of like, I don't know. You see just enough of Oscar Isaac to be like, "Oh, dude, I'm so sorry."
Yep.
But like, exactly. It's like when your friend has that really lame Halloween costume and you don't know how to tell him. It's kind of like that. It's just kind of like, oh man.
And like, I know it would be very hard to make. I'm gonna disprove what I'm about to say, and just like right after I say it, but I'm still gonna say it. I know it's hard to make a villain like this super comic accurate. Since Apocalypse is supposed to be like 8 feet tall and like doesn't look human really at all. But Thanos did it pretty well. I thought Thanos is a pretty tall guy, all CG. Like
Thanos looked pretty much as advertised.
Yeah. Why could you not? I don't know. Like I don't need Apocalypse to be tall, especially. But it just. How is that the final costume design? How is that what they went with for their main villain of your movie? It just didn't. I don't understand how they thought. Like he just didn't look intimidating. That's like.
It was kind of laughable.
Yeah, generally the costume design of this movie overall looked pretty good. Magneto's costume looked fantastic. The X-Men uniforms at the end looked fantastic.
At the end.
But Apocalypse did not.
No, he looked bad from the start. And
even the Four Horsemen's outfits looked pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it looked better.
Yeah.
Yeah, Apocalypse was kind of, you know, just,
Yeah.
I don't know. And especially like he's like the name, like he's named that the movie after him. He's the main villain, and like, I mean, as far as I know, I think the biggest X-Men villain there is.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, this is a pretty big deal.
Yep.
I mean, I guess you could count the Phoenix Force also, but like, you know, like
Yeah.
as far as like straight up villains, he's like their biggest villain. So.
Mm-hmm. And they did a terrible job in this movie of laying down exactly what his powers are. We know he has some kind of alchemy power. He can like
supposedly, but like not really
create sand. He can make giant pyramids out of nothing. He can enhance other people's powers. He's obviously super strong, super fast, etc. Mind powers, I guess, but like
no explanation.
Yeah, no, that just to me that doesn't feel like enough to have this character be, this like ender of worlds, this like person who has been around for centuries, like terrorizing the planet forever. Like, it just doesn't feel menacing enough to just have like, I can move sand. Like, this doesn't.
Like, yeah, and especially because it's like it doesn't feel earned.
Yeah,
like he kind of just.
The reason why Thanos feels earned is because A, we've been building to him for ever, and two, he is so tall that like he is so tall and big, and like he doesn't feel like something that could be of this earth. Whereas Oscar Isaac in an Apocalypse outfit just feels like Oscar Isaac in an Apocalypse outfit.
And like he completely like clapped Hulk within like his first 5 seconds on screen.
Also, he got a very, very good indication of just how strong he is in his base form, let alone when he gets the stones.
Yeah.
Having Apocalypse just like cut some guys' heads off with sand. Okay.
Well, I guess, but not really.
And then the fact that he can just create a pyramid out of nothing raised a huge problem me and my brother both had. So the opening scene of this movie is Apocalypse going from one body into Oscar Isaac's body.
Mm-hmm.
And then in a very jarring scene, there's normal, like all these people just like hit pillars, and then like these rocks come down out of like down this chute and like destroy something and cause the pyramid to collapse all around. And I'm thinking, so did Apocalypse make these slave people build this pyramid for him, which is like specifically why they built in those chutes to like as a fail-safe to kill Apocalypse? But why would Apocalypse make his servants do that if he could just make a pyramid in 2 seconds by himself? And would he not be able to tell that these other people were making modifications to his pyramid? Like, how are they able to so easily destroy this pyramid?
That's a good point. Yeah, and that doesn't really make any sense either, because that doesn't add up at all.
I don't know, like, and like, maybe it's too much to ask for, but like his motivations were non-existent. Like, he just wants to destroy the world just because.
Because I'm the bad guy.
He literally,
that was the only reason. There wasn't no like actual reason.
It's the exact same idea as Age of Ultron. Literally verbatim, he like goes like outside of like how like Ultron like goes into the internet and like finds out about the humanity and then learns that they suck, so he wants to destroy them. Apocalypse like touches a TV screen, sees all the bad stuff humans have done forever, even though I'm not sure if how that would work. Like, how do you have access to all the stuff from the past when you're only looking at live footage of news and stuff? Whatever.
I mean, I guess it's implied he could access that if he really wanted to, but yeah, it doesn't seem.
That's also a new power that he just gets that we never see again.
Yeah, it's never explained. It kind of just shows up.
Sure.
It's supposed to be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
right.
So he's like, So he gets all that knowledge, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna kill people now, just because for the same reason Age of Ultron." Like,
because I'm the bad guy, pretty much.
pretty much, yeah.
Which is, I mean, no, never mind.
Whatever. Whatever.
It's like, well, what's that? No, but no.
So yeah, like not only are all of the main character heroes just non-characters and I can't care about them, none of the villains I can really care about, especially the namesake villain. I kind of like Storm fine enough. She didn't really get to do much. I really liked Psylocke. She had like 3 lines in the whole movie.
Yeah, she just kind of was like, I'm here. Like, that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Sure. If this was about toys, I was just here to sell toys, pretty much. Yeah. Those characters. I'm just like, oh, great, okay. But
yeah, and not every single movie needs to have like a moral or a thematic through line. But this movie, I think, tried really hard to have several and failed all of them. There's like one I think it's trying to do where it's like a general, very basic of like, be true to yourself. Don't care about what other people think of you. Even amongst outsiders, some people might see you as outsiders, even within outsiders. Don't care what they think. Like it doesn't matter that you guys can't control your powers. Use that to your advantage, whatever.
But it's like
they didn't go nearly as far with that, especially since Beast wasn't Beast for most of the movie. Like that.
Yeah. He kind of was doing the opposite of what he was talking about most of the time. So that kind of defeats the purpose.
Yep. Like, and yeah, kind of going more on that outsider, even among outsiders thing with Phoenix and Cyclops. The like extras on campus who saw them as freaks never got any comeuppance. They never like.
Which still makes no sense. I know we just talked about it, but that still makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, really? You're also here. So like something's wrong with you too.
Mm-hmm. Like Professor X never talked to either of them about that. Like this movie did a lot of telling without showing. It just yeah, like
usually not ever really a good idea.
I'm not the biggest proponent of show don't tell. I think it's a little overused, a little overrated in the film community. But telling but not showing is way worse.
Yeah. Because it's lazy writing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's just like, it's like when this character, this is the best character. Why is this the best character? Because I said so. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
That's stupid. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
And then the last one, which they kind of did but not really, is like family is important, or like family is who you choose it to be, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Except they really didn't like.
They weren't really a family.
No, they weren't. And like Mystique maybe said a line where it's like, "This is my new family," or I think she said to Magneto like, "You should be helping your family. I'm gonna go help mine."
Yeah. Yeah, I believe
that was it. That was the extent of that theme. And it's
kind of like, I mean, we kind of all helping each other not die.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's more than just helping your family. It's kind of just helping the universe at this point. But okay.
Like, if this movie didn't even try to have themes like that, if it was just a full, like, a very turn your brain off superhero action movie, that's one thing. But since it tried so hard to be a real movie, that's why I care so much. Because that's why I don't care much about, like, let me rephrase that. That's why I love X-Men Origins Wolverine so much. I know it has flaws. It has so many flaws. Nothing is right about that movie. But it's not trying to be. It's really not, like, just, you can tell at every level it knew the kind of movie it was and it owned it.
And did not apologize for being a train wreck.
Like, the action was so over the top. The acting was so campy. The story was so just crazy. Everything about it felt intentionally weird and like just it it wasn't trying to be a AAA, billion-dollar franchise starter movie. Though it kind of was supposed to be that, but whatever. Like it is what it is. Whereas this movie was actually trying to be a serious MCU tier superhero movie, and it failed at every single level.
Failed miserably.
Yep.
It tried.
It tried.
It tried. It really did.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Which is why I kind of feel like it is an objectively way worse movie than Dark Phoenix, because I just kind of just got the sense at every level of the making of that movie, everyone gave up. Every single person who made that movie gave up, aside from Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer never gives up.
Yeah,
but yeah,
there were no like really great shots. There was no, like, the acting obviously wasn't great. Like the fighting that was done was good, but like choreography was kind of standard. Like there was nothing mind blowing about it. There was nothing
kind of like there.
Yeah, it just felt like a last-ditch attempt just to get another X-Men movie out there.
Yeah.
Whereas this one really was trying to be like, it came out two or 3 weeks. X-Men Apocalypse came out 3 weeks after Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah, and felt all that wrath too.
Yes.
That's what I remember. Because I remember it was coming out. It was like right after, and like you didn't hear a soul talk about it. Like there was a bunch of commercials from it. As soon as it came out, no one is like, the movie never existed.
Yep. Yeah, and it wanted to be remembered. It's not going to be remembered for the right reason. I just, like, legitimately, like, I know I've bagged on several bad movies in the past. I don't think this is as bad as Battleship. It's at least as bad as Robin Hood. Very similar issues, very similar, like...
I still want to see that.
I don't not recommend it.
It was so weird because the trailer looked so promising, and then it's just like, yeah, that was the best moment. I was like, really?
Yeah.
It's like that was only an okay moment, but because it was in the trailer, I gave it a chance.
Even the X-Men Apocalypse trailers didn't look great.
Yeah, okay, but again, you already knew before you even saw the trailer it was gonna be true. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
No one was thinking, all right, Dark Phoenix is gonna be the, you know what I'm saying? Like, you already knew before it even came out, before they started shooting.
Yeah,
you already knew it was gonna be a hot bucket of garbage.
Yeah, so like, if I hadn't seen X-Men Apocalypse, I probably would have gone even harder in on even more in on Dark Phoenix. I would have had, all of the same complaints about Jean Grey, Cyclops, Beast, etc., like character problems, pacing problems, etc. But X-Men Apocalypse makes that movie it makes it look like a C-tier Marvel movie, like it makes it look like a decent superhero action movie relative to X-Men Apocalypse. Because it's kind of hard to even call X-Men Apocalypse like a fun action romp, because there's really only two major action sequences in the whole movie. There's the
they're not even that good.
Wolverine hallway scene, and then the climax, and that's it.
Yeah. And it kind of just feels very like,
yeah,
who cares?
Underwhelming. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. But I guess we'll have to see. But
yep. Is there anything else you want to say about that movie, or anything else you want to bring up to discuss?
One of the reasons I was so hopeful for WandaVision to like revamp the X-Men was just because, like, for the last at least 10 years outside of Logan, the X-Men have been basically hot garbage.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yes. First Class is fine. It's okay.
But like that was like the turning point,
Yeah.
And then pretty much honestly, really, yeah, the new, like, all the movies after First Class, I'm just kind of like, no.
Yeah, because the First Class was clearly trying to be a prequel to the original trilogy.
Right.
There are some things that I feel are not easily leading up to the original trilogy, like Cerebro is just like given to them, even though they specifically said that Magneto and Charles made it together. But whatever, it's fine. But X-Men Apocalypse, by Days of Future Past, but especially X-Men Apocalypse, they had already just thrown that out the window. This is clearly not a prequel to those movies, and it's barely even a sequel to the other movies. Like this is its own little pocket dimension. Same with Dark Phoenix. They're not connected to anything.
Yeah, it's just they're just throwing them together. Like it's not. No, they're kind of, and that's the thing. It's like they're kind of just going by themselves, and just hoping for. It's kind of just like, what are you guys doing? Really, they're kind of just throwing. It kind of feels like it's just thrown together, more or less, and it kind of just like it feels like you can tell.
Yep.
Basically, but.
So, is there anything else you want to bring up or discuss?
That's just about all I've got here.
Okay, so yeah, like we said, next week. So we can meet next week. We'll talk about the Snyder Cut. It's happening.
Snyder Cut. All right. We'll see.
Yep.
Is it worth the hype? Probably not. We'll see.
I'm going in cautiously optimistic. If it is good, I'll give credit where credit is due. But if the fanboys are loving it, good for them. I'll just have to see for myself if I actually like it. Yeah,
we'll see. Personally, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of just like, I'm starting with a baseline of a 5, pretty much. It's like I'm not expecting a lot. I'm expecting not to agree with some of the main choices, but hopefully enough will happen. Yeah. At least I just want cool stuff to happen, but like at least half in context, not just like the best scene in the movie is a dream sequence. Like. I mean, that's cool, but that's probably going to be lame. But
we'll okay. So we got nothing else to say. We will see you all next time.
Take care, guys.